Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the SFCBL's Extra Innings podcast. I'm your host, Owen Kling, and today we're joined by Gardner Webb, collegiate baseball player, and former SFCBL West Boca Snappers player, Bryan Pazos. Bryan, happy to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure.
absolutely. Yeah, it's always good to see a familiar face. So, to get started, Bryan, if you can kind of just take me through what the league has meant to you during your time that you've played within the SFCBL and how it's prepared you for your time at Gardner Webb, but also at FIU before you transferred.
Well, playing in the SFCBL, like I went a couple years hurt because I tore my labrum my freshman year, and then with COVID. So being able to play in the SFCBL, it, like showed me the competitive aspect of baseball I've been missing for a while. And Lambo, he took a chance on me because I had zero collegiate at bats, and he was like, "Yeah, man, come play and prove that you could play." So I just want to say thank you to Lambo for giving me that opportunity, and just playing in the SFCBL just showed me like the game I've been missing for a long time.
Absolutely. And if you can kind of go into that a little bit more, I know that you played multiple positions while you were with the Snappers. You even got to pitch a little bit. So kind of tell me how that has changed over your collegiate career. Are you still doing both, or are you more of just a hitter now? Kind of just describe how your journey in baseball has changed positionally.
Well, actually, at school, I'm just a PO. I don't really hit that much at school, but when I go back home, just putting on the Snappers uniform, they need me to fill in some roles, and I'm happy to be that guy that can play any position at any time. So yeah, just a PO at school. It's a little different than the SFCBO, but it's a
Yeah,
good
so
time.
you got to take some BP before you get down here, huh?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hop in a cage for a couple hours a day and then just get ready to play.
Yeah, so kind of backtracking a little bit as far as your baseball timeline goes, can you kind of just walk me through your entire journey, how you got started in baseball, and when you really first started playing?
Well, when I first started, my mom and dad tell me stories all the time. I used to slap a tennis ball with a Coca-Cola, like those big bottles, and then my dad used to throw them to me anytime that we had some free time. My older brother, really like a role model for me. He played professional baseball with the Mariners. He's 6 years older than me, so watching him go through his life and the recruitment processes, the professional aspect of the game, he kind of opened a lot of doors for me, especially carrying the same last name and stuff. So all the attention that was on him when he was in high school kind of kind of came over to me a little bit. So, and then really started playing. I was 6 years old. I played in Tamiami with Team Miami under Manny Ojeda. Zach Neto was on that team. Jordan Carrion was another one that was on that team. So yeah, George Corona from La Tech. So we had some studs on that team for sure.
Absolutely. So going away from your younger years in baseball, what made you decide to keep playing when you got to the collegiate level? Obviously, if you get an offer, most people are going to take it, but there's also a lot of athletes that decide that they're done with baseball or sports in general just due to the time commitment in college. So how did you evaluate the decision to play at the collegiate level?
It was my freshman year. I got my first offer from FIU. It was under Turtle Thomas, and we had like a little tournament at FIU, and I pitched pretty well. He came up to me and he goes, "Do you want to play college baseball?" Well, and then my brother was at Pitt during the time, and just seeing him put in all the work that he did, and how dedicated he was, inspired me a lot. So I was like, "Yeah, for sure, I want to play college baseball." Turtle ended up getting terminated, and then Merv came in, gave me a similar offer, and I just took that. Took it with a lot of pride to play collegiate baseball.
Absolutely. So now, obviously, being in college, baseball's not the only thing you have to worry about. You have to worry about your academics as well. So how do you make sure that you balance your time between athletics and academics? Obviously, at most colleges, there are programs in place for athletes, to be able to get their study time in, to be able to be successful both in the classroom and on the field. But how does that look for you? What are your, study habits? What do you do to be successful?
It's definitely a grind. Thankfully, a lot of my professors give good study guides. So being able to just, prepare mentally, pretty good at remembering some things, especially for quizzes and exams. Preparing mentally and studying and taking time out of your day to dedicate to that part of your life, I think is super important. I'm studying criminal justice, and my sister's a lawyer. So I got any question that I need or anything that I need to figure out, she's always there to help me. So extremely blessed for that one.
Yeah, that definitely helps out. So, kind of discussing more about your upbringing in baseball and just life in general, but more tied to baseball. Can you just describe a challenging time or a game specifically, something along your career where it was just super challenging, but you found a way to overcome it? And, that can be at any level, or if you have multiple options, feel free to describe them all.
Yeah, it was definitely my freshman year of college. I was a two-way my whole life. I played both, I pitched and played the outfield my entire life. And then coming into FIU, they saw a lot of potential for me to be on the mound. So they're like, "Hey, we want you to be a PO. We want you to give it a try." I had Logan Allen as a mentor. He's with the Guardians now. But yeah, just my freshman year for sure. That was one part, and then the injury tearing my labrum in my shoulder. It was during COVID, so baseball kind of stopped. So that helped me a lot. But it was also like I couldn't go to therapy every day because I had to wear a mask and stuff like that, and just like the whole process of my family being there with me, that helped me a lot. Meditating, praying that baseball's not over for me. So yeah, definitely my freshman year of college was the toughest time.
Absolutely. Hey, the thing is you made it through, right? You're still
Yes,
playing
sir.
today and you're back out on the field. So kind of piggybacking off of that, how do you handle high pressure situations, during games? How do you can't really necessarily prepare for them. That's what I've learned also working with collegiate athletes. Whenever you ask them this question, they're always like, well, there's no way you can really prepare. You just have to have a mindset. So if you can kind of just take me through how you handle any high pressure situations, whether it's on the mound or even in your time as a two-way player.
High pressure situations are sort of like a blessing. It's an opportunity, and I think people think of it as a challenge and not an opportunity to prove yourself and show fans, coaches, to yourself really how much time and effort you put into the game. So you can't prepare for those situations, but trusting your preparation that you've done everything in your power to be successful in those opportunities, really. So
Okay. So tying that back into this next question as well, how has your ability to work through high pressure situations, overcome injury, overcome, defeat at times, set you apart from other players? Obviously, we're not asking you to say, "Oh, I'm the best person out there," but what about you is different than, say, the next person in the lineup?
I think my support system really like any any kind of mental blockade I put on myself. I speak to my family. My mom is a big one. She's overcome a lot in her life. Nothing to do with sports, just the life aspect of it. And I think putting baseball on a smaller scale is like life is a lot bigger than just baseball, and baseball is an opportunity for you to grow, meet new people, uh, kind of overcome those challenges. So I think what sets me apart definitely is my support system.
Well, that's a great thing to have. Not everybody can say that they have that. In some situations where some players may not have that family to go to, the team kind of becomes their family in some aspects. So, kind of talking about that, what do you contribute to the team over at Gardner Webb that kind of buys into that family or team aspect, that, young players or even players same age or even older than you that, they may come to you because you're that guy for a certain thing. What do you bring on that side of things?
I feel like just being able to be like a resource for younger players to definitely, talk to. I had some success last year and knowing my way around a little bit of college baseball, it being my fifth year and all. I think helping like young people, especially like mold into the game and realize that, it is a big deal, but it's not, anything to be afraid of or so just kind of being like a source of communication, especially for young guys or guys looking to be successful and what can they do, like forms of recovery. I know I help a lot team with like recovery stuff. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about that. How do you stay motivated and focused throughout a season? College baseball seasons can go up to 70 games if you make it to Omaha. So, how does the long, grueling season have an effect on you, but also how do you stay focused and combat any sort of potential negativity from, an achy body or just a bad day?
Well, I definitely think discipline, surpasses motivation. There's some days where obviously you're not going to be motivated to, oh, we got 6 a.m. lifts, or, we got lift at this time, we got mobility at this time. So I think just being disciplined in those opportunities to, that your body's going to feel better once you get done with this, or your arm's going to feel better once you get done with this. I think that surpasses the motivation most days. But just being, thankful to God for allowing me the opportunity to find a new school, a new home, new teammates. I think that's where my motivation comes in. Working hard for the people that put their trust in me, and of course for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you describe what your approach to leadership is, both on and off the field? Like you said, you have those younger players that have come to you for some sort of mentorship, and then obviously you've had mentors in the past for yourself. Can you just kind of describe what you've taken from some people or what you're learning from newer, athletes that are coming into the game at the collegiate level and how that's shaping you as a leader?
I think Logan from FIU, he showed me a lot of like just breaking down the game, like being smart in certain, chances and not and winning the mental battle when you're on the mound. So I think that's what I provide for especially the young guys. When you're young, you want to try to be perfect, impress the team, impress coaches. So you might make a pitch and then you show that that pitch wasn't on purpose, that it was a mistake pitch. Logan, he was really big with that. That no matter where the ball went or where the pitch was, it was on purpose. It was setting up the next pitch. So definitely being able to flush like one pitch right away and focus on the next one, because the most important pitch of baseball is always the next one. So I think that's where my leadership kind of tends to, just like on the mound, being a presence, winning the mental battle. So
Absolutely. So, kind of talking about that a little bit more, but more away from the leadership side of things. What is your stance on, baseball technology when it comes to pitching, whether it be a Rapsodo, or Edgertronic camera? What about those types of technologies, if you've used them or have access to use them, do you think it brings to the game, or are you on the side of more old school and the technology is more of a distraction?
I think I'm sort of in the middle. I think obviously the analytics and all that plays like a big part, especially in today's baseball. But I have like the old school mentality. It doesn't matter if you're throwing, 86 or 96. You still got to go like step on the mound, be a dog, help your team win in any way that you can. So I feel like I'm in the middle for both. But I do use the TrackMan, the Yacker Tech, all that. I like knowing where I'm at statistically and analytically. So, but the mentality's got to be old school. It's just the way it
Yeah,
works.
absolutely. So do you think knowing those numbers kind of sets you up for a successful outing, or is it more of just knowing what your numbers are for practice purposes and then kind of wiping that out of your system when it comes to being on the mound for a game?
I think um, I think knowing helps more with the practice. Like your stuff's getting better, but on the mound sometimes you'll back up a slider that on the TrackMan wouldn't think it's successful, and then in the game it's successful. So I think it helps with confidence, especially taking the mound, like knowing your velocity's up, knowing that your fastball spins a little bit more. I think it helps you prepare mentally to perform in a game, but definitely like just just going out there and having fun and being a dog, that's really what helps the most.
So I have a very interesting question for you next. If you had to describe your entire baseball career in one word, what would that word be and why?
The tough one.
Yeah, it is. It is. It came right off the dome just now, and I was like, you know what, that's gonna be a good question to ask, and you're the right guy for the question. So we'll see what you come up with.
One word, I would just say like blessed. To be honest, I had the opportunity to play Division I baseball at an early age and get a couple offers at such an early age, and then just growing as a person within the game has been amazing. Meeting a numerous amount of people that have helped me in my career or people that I've helped in their careers. I think it's just, like very blessed to say the
Yeah,
least.
absolutely. I think that there's a big part about baseball that is just about believing in yourself and having a support system. And I think, if a player has that, they're not necessarily poised for success, but it's going to help them in the long run. And it obviously always comes back down to the player themselves, what their mindset is and how they want to navigate their career. So, kind of switching away from the college baseball aspect, going into some MLB questions, kind of off topic from career stuff. Can you kind of just tell us your top five pitchers in the MLB coming into the spring training now? And obviously, the season's just a couple weeks away, so I want to just get your take on the top five arms you see coming into this year.
I'll go from five to one.
Okay.
So probably my fifth is Yuri Perez. Reminds me a lot of like Jose Fernandez, him being young, dominating the game at such an early age. He's fun to watch. I got to watch a couple Marlins games. He's definitely one of my favorites to watch now. Sandy too, another Marlin, big Marlins guy. I got three of them
Yeah,
on my list.
yeah,
And then watching Sandy too, everything that he's done, he saw some adversity last year, and I think this year is going to be a huge year for him. Um, Number three is probably like AJ Puck. He's also with the Marlins. I played with his brother Owen at FIU, and just watching him go out there and the presence he brings on the mound, 7 foot lefty throwing 100, so that can be fun for a lot of people.
yeah.
Uh, then I like Nestor Cortez. Got the
Okay.
opportunity to train with Nestor a couple times, speak to him about baseball. He's from Hialeah, left-hander, small left-hander. I think we're very similar in a lot of aspects. He's helped me quite a few times. And then my favorite arm to watch always is Chapman. Him being Cuban and all, and representing Cuba, and just the his presence on the mound is also huge to watch, and it's inspiring, really.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting that you have that list. Obviously, lots of Marlins on there being a Miami kid. A lot of people probably would have been like DeGrom, Severino, Shohei, all the
Yeah,
top names, but obviously you have a unique list, which is great. Um, Staying on the topic of pitching in the MLB, obviously a year ago or maybe 2 years now, the pitch clock rule came into effect, and it's obviously made its way to the college game at some divisions so far. Can you kind of just give me your opinion on that and what you think it does for the game, how it may affect you on the mound, if you guys have that there at Gardner Webb already,
yeah,
or experience it at FAU?
yeah. We have it now. We got 20 seconds. I think it's good for the game, especially like the fan base. I think it speeds things up a little bit. I'm a pitcher that likes to mess with timing, so having 20 seconds and knowing that I can mess with a hitter's mind a little bit, I think that helps a lot. We saw Scherzer do it when it was first introduced. He was kind of bending the rules a little bit. Um, I think it's good for the game. It speeds things up. It keeps the fans interested. Pitchers are coming right after the next one, and for me, it just helps like with pacing and being able to mess with a hitter's timing. So I think it's good for the game.
All right. Yeah, I think it is too as well. I mean, it really showed last year in the statistics dropping from, an average of 3 hours and 4 minutes per game down to somewhere in the 2 hour time range. I think it's just good for everything, It's almost like a NASCAR race, or at least it used to be. You just sit there and watch and watch and watch. Coming from a person that loves baseball, but now that's sped up a little bit, it definitely helps viewership and just general interest in the game. So another interesting question for you next is I want you to give me a certain matchup, you as the pitcher, going against an all-time great, somebody that's retired in the Hall of Fame, whoever it may be, somebody you would have loved to face as a pitcher. Not saying that they would strike out against you, but even if they hit a home run off of you, just going up against them may be cool. And then also a current player, just to kind of get an idea of where you're at and who you like on, certain rosters and who your, all-time greats are.
One guy I would love to face is Barry Bonds. I mean, I think most people would agree he's probably the greatest hitter of all time. So seeing how my stuff now would match up with his, I think he faced a couple left-handers that were high 80s, high 80s, low 90s, and just the way he dominated the game. I would love to see like the presence he brought in the box, like why people feared him as much. Obviously 700 plus home runs is an outstanding stat line. So being able to face Barry Bonds would be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then somebody current, who's been in the league, recently within the last 10 years or so, who would you want to face?
Probably Jazz Chisholm. He's probably my favorite player on the Marlins. So being able to
Yeah.
face him would be pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of Marlins answers here.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty, well that's pretty interesting. Let me think here. What else can we ask you? Gosh, here's a good one. What is your pitching repertoire? How many pitches do you have? Where did you pick those up from? How have you developed them over the years?
I'm a big fastball changeup guy. I do show a slider and then a loopy or kind of breaking ball to mess with the hitter's timing. But I think my two specialized pitches are probably my fastball and my changeup. My fastball, I always had a good arm from the outfield. And then I think it was like middle school. My dad is like, "Hey, you want to be a pitcher?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I always threw kind of hard for my age. And then the changeup I learned from Livan Hernandez. I used to train with him when I was, a little older, like 14, 15 years old. And he goes, treat the changeup like it's the best pitch in baseball because when you throw it well, it is the best pitch in baseball. So he was big with that. Training with El Duque too, his slider helped me a little bit, but definitely the changeup.
Absolutely. So, kind of wrapping things up here with you, I'd like to get a message from you to just kind of to anybody who's looking to be a pitcher at the collegiate level or even, make it even farther than the collegiate level. What would just be your message to those players that are hoping to, get to the same level as you or, eventually even higher?
I would say to push through adversity. There's going to be outings where you feel fantastic pregame or in the bullpen, and then you go out to the game and you give up five in three pitches, and it's a little weird. It's a little awkward. I think just trusting your preparation, knowing all the work you put in to be successful, you will reap all its benefits. So definitely just keep pushing towards, through adversity because baseball is a game of failure, and as pitchers we fail a little less than hitters do. But being able to show face when you give up five or when you give up zero, you should always keep a level of maturity and professionalism. Just carry yourself in a way that you think a big leaguer would carry themselves if they're successful or if they fail. So always be a big leaguer or think of yourself as a big leaguer in moments that sometimes you don't have it.
Absolutely. And I should have started with this way back at the beginning, but if you can just kind of describe what your role is right now with the Gardner Webb team as a reliever, starter, what your kind of role is and how that's adapted or changed, I should say, and how you have adapted to it if it's different than what you did at FIU.
My role now is coming in out of the bullpen. I was a bullpen arm at FIU. I came in with the opportunity to start here, and I got beat out by other great arms that we have. So coming in out of the bullpen is what I'm used to. I like doing it too. So I think just knowing your role and being able to help your team whenever your name's called, I think that's important. I definitely, just being out there and competing is what I like to do. And whether that's starting, relieving, or closing, I think it's an opportunity to get better.
Now, speaking about being with Gardner Webb, can you describe the transfer portal process and how that works for those that maybe haven't experienced it as an athlete or are going to be going into college soon and may have to transfer or want to transfer? If you can just kind of dive into your experience about how that worked.
Well, I entered the portal pretty late because it came with Sean Thompson. He was a pitching coach at FIU. He ended up taking the pitching coach job at VCU, which is his alma mater. So I think I entered the portal pretty late, so I didn't get the full experience of a million phone calls and all that stuff. But it's definitely a cool process, and I definitely think it's good for the game. Just giving guys, the opportunity to find new homes and and places where they could, where they could develop, they could just, be themselves, play for a coaching staff that they put their trust in. I think it's a two-way relationship between players trusting coaches and coaches trusting players. And that's what I got here at Gardner Webb. I got a not that I wasn't trusted by the coaches at FIU. I think they're doing an outstanding job, picking up things where they left off. But just an opportunity to meet new people, come to a new city, new town, individualize myself a little bit. I stayed home at FIU for 4 years, so just seeing this as an opportunity and what the portal did for me is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you kind of sharing your experiences, whether it's been off the field, on the field with the transfer portal, and just discussing everything from your baseball career so far. Now, I'm going to end it really quickly with some quick hitting questions that have nothing to do with baseball at all, just so people can kind of get to know you a little bit better. So,
All right,
first one is favorite baseball movie and why?
The Sandlot.
Okay.
Watched it as a little kid with my brother. It's like a memory from my childhood. So great
Yeah.
movie, love it.
All right. And your favorite food?
My mom's she makes a Spanish omelet. She puts potatoes, onions, and plantains in it. Fantastic. 12 eggs. It's amazing.
That is a lot of eggs. All
Yeah.
right. And, this is an interesting one. It could be controversial just depending on what you say, because they're not all out yet. But what has been your favorite MLB City Connect uniform so far?
Probably the Diamondbacks. I
Okay.
mean, they look like FSU. I love those colors. It looks good. The gold on gold, it's awesome.
All right. And your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm a classic chocolate guy. Chocolate fudge, anything with fudge or brownie in it, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And the last one, let's make it super challenging. No, I'm kidding. Um, if you were able to decide today to play for an MLB team of your choice, what team would it be?
Probably the Yankees.
Wow, I'm surprised
Love
you
the
picked the
pinstripes. Yeah.
Marlins.
Well, the Marlins would be cool, obviously, because it's my hometown. But just being part of a historic franchise, and I think the pinstripes are like a staple in someone's career. So I think it's awesome.
Would you be down to be clean shaven? Because you know that's their tradition too.
I know. One of my old friends from FIU, he's playing with the Yankees now. He looks a little weird, but yeah, I'd shave my beard to win a ring for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think just about anyone would. So,
Yeah.
well, absolutely. So, thank you, Bryan. That kind of wraps up this third episode of the SFCBL's Extra Inning podcast. Obviously, you're in season, so good luck to you for the rest of the year, and hopefully, you get some good outings. And if everything works out like it should, maybe you'll be headed off to the MLB next fall, or we'll see you back here in the SFCBL possibly this summer. Other than that, we'll be back in a couple weeks with a new episode for the podcast. Thank you all for listening and have a great day.